Another one of these films, yeah? Right, let's get this over with. So KSI and Casper Lee made a movie a long time ago, and to be honest, I would have completely forgotten it existed was it not for doing a bit of a deep dive on JJ's channel during self-isolation. And I found this.
Stop pirating the fucking movie! Fuck's sake, man!
So yeah, KSI got a little bit angry because people weren't exactly willing to splash 8 quid on a goddamn YouTuber movie. I spent 4 quid to rent it, and I immediately regretted my purchase. Because at least Fred the movie was free on YouTube. Anyways, the movie stars KSI and Casper Lee as the two foreign exchange students living in America who have the ultimate goal of getting le suck before the end of their last night in America. Casper's character is named Jack, which I can believe, to be honest, but this movie genuinely expects the audience to look at KSI and call him Duncan.
Duncan.
The two guys essentially just play themselves for the duration of the film, with Casper being far more timid and quiet, much like his YouTube self, and JJ's character is loud and he likes to pull the same face he always pulled whenever he got a Team of the Year. See, the first shot of a movie it's usually meant to be the one that filmmakers use to put their stamp on a movie, you know, instantly catch that viewer's attention. You get a sex doll inlaid in America. It's the very first shot. Oh, for God. Before we fully get into this film, look, I'm not going to blame JJ and Casper explicitly for this abomination. No, I'm gonna blame whatever old white guys at Universal thought. I don't know. I guess we got the white boy from South Africa and the screamy FIFA guy from the UK. We get to act in our movie because otherwise it's gonna be a complete bomb because we wrote the script in 20 minutes and. We never made a second draft. Also, before we move on much further, I don't have much footage. And that's because it's actually impossible for me to find any. There's like no clips for upload to YouTube. You know the Good Movie? How they upload loads of clips? They usually upload clips that are memorable. Yeah, this movie doesn't have a single one. So I had to go onto Vimeo to get footage of Bobby Lee in this movie. Christ. Then get introduced to Bully character trope, whose name I wish I knew, and he announces that he's holding a party for his cat, who got 10 million subs on YouTube. Oh, for God's sake. Why did KSI and Casper even sign up for this? Like, surely they got to read the script beforehand? Surely they would have known that's not how YouTube works? Cats on their own don't get 10 mil subs. That's not how it works. To get like 10 mil views, won't get that many subs. Christ, this was 2016, not 2008. And then the two end up in a room with a creepy old authority figure in the school trope, who laughs at them because they've never fricked anybody in their lives. This scene between the principal and them limps on for 3 minutes. 3 whole minutes. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when the whole thing is, hi kids, if you can't shag in America, you have no hope anywhere else. And that's all he really needs to say. It drags on. But no, instead of just getting to the friggin' point, we get a skit of him playing Candy Crush in VR. But the Candy Crush is poo, because Lamau. Who's this movie made for? Because it's rated for 18s, understandably. But KSI and Casper Lee are the two draws of this film, and the two of them also don't quite have an audience that is above the age of 18. So if their own fans can't get it, then surely they have to hope that casual film viewers will want to watch it as a funny 18s comedy. But at the same time, the comedy is that of a 10-year-old. So who is this movie actually made for? Because the demographic that they're aiming for, of the KSI and Casper Lee fans, they can't watch it. And then you got the people who just want to watch good films. A, this isn't a good film, and B, it's not funny, and C, I forgot how to speak, the humor is that of a child. So it just makes no sense. Then Bully trope man shows up again and tells attractive woman trope that he wants to get back together because of course they were a couple, because we need to add some conflict to the story. I don't think there's enough conflict in this story. Here we just get exposition of, in order to get in the party, you need to bring 2 hot females. And those 2 females can't come to this school because we need some form of a plot. And that's the only way that KSI and Casper Lee can get into this. Who cares? So, because obviously these 2 need advice with how to get women, who picks up the phone and calls JJ? Well, his brother Freddy, who is played by his real life brother. That's right, Deji's in a movie. You can just tell that they told Deji to record his lines, but they didn't tell him where. So he probably didn't even stop recording his FIFA 16 video and just set his lines in his setup. Like he delivered them with all the effort of a Wattpad fanfiction. You can't say that, bro. Plus Casper Lee says the N-word. What's up, nigga?
Freddy, my nigga!
Well, you look at this nigga.
What the fuck?
From here, Deji just gives more exposition and blurts out that, hey, here's an app where you can meet La Woman. And it's advertised by Bart Baker because fantastic, we're getting more YouTuber cameos. So they fake their names and their salaries so they can go on the dates, so that way they can add more conflict to the story. And then they meet a woman and the woman roofies them, and then they get kidnapped, so that way they can add more conflict to the story. And they wake up in the basement of Bobby Lee, the man who stole my podcast. Bobby Lee plays a drug dealer, and he's fat, and he lives with his mum. Funny. JJ is brought by Bobby Lee to an ATM where JJ fricks about for a bit in order to dodge doing anything for Bobby Lee to give him any money, and then out of nowhere Bobby Lee just gets knocked out and JJ just uses keys in his car and they go. I'm complaining a lot about this film. At least it's somewhat consistent to the rules and the logic and stuff that's actually set up in this story. It's not like Fred. It's not Fred bad. The 2 escape and Casper needs to puke, so he gets out and he conveniently leaves the door open so some random guy can conveniently walk into the car and give JJ and Casper a reason to bring him to a party so they can get La Female and they can shag. That's about it. They go to a brothel and this guy is there. I really don't want to go into detail on how this isn't funny. There's a really uncomfortable scene in the pleasure palace where the woman KSI is meant to shag she just dies. She dies. The thing is, in the film, it's not funny, but it's funny to mention it out of context that she just dies from a cocaine overdose. And it's not even like, she just dies in the scene, and the 2 of them leave, and she's never seen ever again. This is the Act 2 low point, guys. You know the plot graph where it hits a low point? Yeah, that's right here, because they failed. They failed a lot, and they argued. This is so sad, guys. So KSI arrives at the party, and he bribes a guard to get in with the watch he stole from the fake Bad Friends podcast man. Casper arrives later and he climbs in a 2nd story window somehow. I never see him get a ladder or anything. He just suddenly pops in through a 2nd story window and he falls in the 10 million sub cat and he kills it because clearly there wasn't enough conflict in this story. The cat also gains the ability to become a playable character from Yoshi's Woolly World when killed and transforms from a cat into a plush. And I know it's done because it's meant to be a prop and you can't just fall flat in a cat and actually kill it, but you shouldn't have your actor turn around and face the camera and be like, hey look, this is a plush, guys. In this house at this party we get more YouTuber cameos like Gabby Hanna and the Chocolate Rain Man. And Casper tries to talk to his crush, I can't keep referring to her as that. What's her actual name? Kaylee. Sick. Her name's Kaylee. So Kaylee's rightfully annoyed that he just kind of flipped out, even though it was Bobby Lee doing a really bad British impression, even though he's from South Africa. I don't know if there's a difference. I don't care either. Casper lays out the wacky misadventures that himself and JJ have been on the whole night, and obviously she doesn't believe him. And just as she begins to get sick of him, bully character shows up and it's like, bro, you're disrespecting women, bro. Casper stands up for himself for the first time ever because for some reason his character has now developed self-confidence in the space of one day. And with the conflict already bubbling, we have to add more. We have to add more conflict because I still don't think we had enough. So it's revealed to the world that Casper Lee murdered a cat, and then just as Bully Man is going to beat the fudge out of Casper, Bad Friends Podcast Man shows up. The failed podcast host Bobby Lee, he showed up with a gun, and he adds more conflict to the story. Do you think there's enough conflict in this? Bully Man knocks Bobby Lee out, and just as Bully Man is about to beat up Casper, the World Heavyweight Champion, KSI, he gets that knockdown. I wish I could find the clip, but there's actually no way of getting enough clips of this freaking movie. So here's a good representation. Casper's crush suddenly no longer hates him for some reason because apparently all the misadventures are now true, and the shag, and then JJ shags Bully Man's sister, who was also his shagging coach from the very beginning of the movie. Jesus, of course they really ruined that bully's life, man. Jesus. And then the movie ends. Like, I'm not kidding, they just go to the airport, subtly hint at a sequel, and then the movie ends. Sick one. Late in America is a YouTuber movie, and it's pretty unapologetic about that. But to be honest, JJ and Casper are far from being the worst parts of the movie. Their characters are actually fairly consistent throughout, and while they're definitely not good actors, they're somewhat capable of pulling something off that could be funny. Too bad they're surrounded by schlock. The script is a jargled mess. Like, the plot as a whole, things just kind of happen, and the whole plot falls into place with no real rhyme or reason to it, and the whole finding girls to bring back to the party subplot is yeeted out the window when they write themselves into a corner. The actors in the movie clearly don't care that much. The bully character especially is so god awful that it genuinely isn't even funny. Bobby Lee was clearly brought in to give the movie some actual Hollywood credibility, but much like a podcast, he isn't really funny. He's a bit of a rip-off of any funny drug dealer role. But hey, at least he can go back to his other Bad film roles, like his role in Pineapple Express. The score is either random Pitbull-esque bass-boosted party music or a stock garage band drum loop. There was meant to be a sequel to this film, apparently, but
Stop pirating the fucking movie!
Out of the whopping 3 YouTube movies I've watched, is it better than Fred? Yeah, by a long shot, because Fred was, Jesus Christ, that was bad. But is it a good film? No, it's a YouTuber movie. Thankfully, there isn't many more. Oh, for Christ.